Hi, this is Josh with Vote with Vision. With us, we have Nathanael from J119 again. Thank you for joining us again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And for this final episode in this series that we have going, I'd like to talk to you about maybe some practical steps that our viewers can take and how to communicate in this season. There's a lot of divisiveness and hostility that we've been talking about. So what are some practical steps that us as Christians can take to not only communicate with other people about political topics, but also how can we have a good witness for Christ? What are some truths and scriptures that we can rely on in this time of uncertainty and divisiveness?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, the first thing that comes to mind when I think how should Christians respond in this time, what are some practical steps, is to find common ground, is to participate in finding common ground. So often we jump to either side of the political spectrum and the political aisle, and we don't know how to find the middle ground between issues. But with so many things, we can agree with people who disagree with us politically.
Yeah.
They may want a different policy than we do, but we can still agree on the fundamental thing behind that policy.
Yeah.
Freedom and liberty and respect and peace and all of these different things that are motivators for both Christians and non-Christians, Republicans and Democrats. And they're places for us to go to find that common ground, to be able to speak to one another. I think a second area is to practice affirming one another. You don't have to be in total agreement of everything that somebody does or of every political decision that somebody makes in order to be positive, in order to give them some encouragement. And I think that that's something that we could really use in today's day and age. On social media right now, right, people are very negative about election results.
Absolutely.
And the people who are very positive about election results are kind of pushing that in the face of the people who don't feel so great about what happened with the election. And I think one of the things that could really be helpful is to find the ways that we can affirm one another, even in the midst of those differing political perspectives.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. And I think a third one too, and this is less for the individual interactions, but we need to be praying.
Yeah.
I think before we prepare to discuss politics or before we prepare to talk to somebody who disagrees with us on political issues, we should be praying for that interaction. And that those interactions don't just stay as political discourse, but they can become something where you can talk about the important things, where you can move from talking about policies and politics to having a conversation about your faith, to having a conversation about what you believe and why you believe it.
Yeah.
And I think that politics can open a lot of doors there if we learn to interact in such a way that we're encouraging towards one another, we're kind towards one another, and we're seeking to build one another up, even in the midst of having those disagreements.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Those are fantastic insights that I myself absolutely will take to heart. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.